for the stars, traveling so far, like a dragonfly. Keeping secrets there, hide them everywhere. Just you and I. Just you and I. We'll never forget the past. But what counts is our brand new start. Even if it hurts me or I get scared, just come take this risk now. We'll be prepared. Trying to find our place in this world. Reaching for the stars, traveling so far, like a dragonfly. Keeping secrets there, hide them everywhere. Just you and I. Just you and trying to find our place in this world.
What is going on, everybody? What is up? What is up? How's everyone's Tuesday? Welcome to Mels, Shady, Just4Bad Sportscast. We are here with Lamb. We are here with Hiatus, also known as Shady's Beer Reaction. Lamb over here. How's it going, fellas? How's your Tuesday evening going?
What up? Good, man. Blessed.
Shady, how's it going, man?
It's
How's your Tuesday?
been, man, it's been a Tuesday. I'm tired, bro. Day two of manual labor, bro.
I feel that. It
Hurt.
was definitely a long day. You could definitely see it in my eyes, that's for sure. It was a long day, guys. Long day. We do have some sports to talk, though, guys. We have some stuff to catch up on from over the weekend here. Football's been crazy. This past Sunday slash last night's game was pretty wild. Pretty wild. Um, a lot of hot topics in this week games. Even in a couple of the games we weren't even expecting it to happen, we saw things happen. And it was like, wow. First off, first game we want to hit here. We're gonna start off with our records at the same time too, and keep track of those. We are gonna start off with the New England and Buffalo game. Buffalo barely squeezed this game out. Cam Newton gave them the game in this one, fumbling it on them. We stated this multiple times here in the last couple of weeks. Cam's trash. He needs to be benched.
Poor guy.
Stidham needs to be brought in, but they keep saying that Cam is going to be the starter for the rest of the year. And me as a Patriots fan, I don't want to see that. I'm tired of seeing it. We're not going anywheres with it. Even though we had a trade today for a wide receiver that's not even going to help us any. I don't know why we even made that trade. But beyond that, we all had this game correct, if I do remember this right, with all of us picking Buffalo over New England, correct?
Correct. Even though I
And
didn't have it down. It didn't save.
this game was another story. Like I said, Cam gave him the game. We were driving down the field. We literally had it in the bag. And Cam tries to scramble out, fumbles, game over. And it's
Feels bad.
like, come on, man. All you had to do was just hold on to the ball.
He had it in the wrong hand, too. Let's not forget about that. He had it in
Yes.
the wrong hand.
Out of all times that he's been a mobile quarterback, he has it in the wrong hand at the same time. Purely disappointed. We need to give Stidham a shot. I feel bad for the dude sitting under Brady that long, then sitting under Cam Newton and not getting the opportunity. You play one quarter because Cam sucked. And I want to see Stidham, guys. I don't want to see any more Cam.
We did talk about this last week, but remember, you have to, for the best chance to winning, you have to put your best athlete out there. And Cam is still the best athlete out there.
We
He's
haven't
the best
seen it,
athlete
though.
on there.
We haven't given Stidham the opportunity to see that. So I want to see a full game of Stidham to see what we can get out of him.
I mean, even if you see a full game of Stidham, he's not going to be a Super Bowl quarterback in the league.
He won't. But I at least want to see more than 12 minutes of football playing time to see whether or not if he can be a better quarterback than Cam and at least win us a couple of games and not give away the football game.
Also, let's not forget that this team, like you said, since the beginning of the season, Melby, is decimated. They have Hightower and all their best defensive players.
Everybody's gone sad out.
They have no Rob Gronkowski. They have no Julian Edelman. They have no Sony Michelle. Like, they're all decimated. And Cam still almost came back and won that game.
And
so
thanks to Damian Harris as well with his second 100-yard performance in his rookie season too.
Yeah, he looks pretty good to me, by the way.
Nice, former running back out of Alabama.
Yeah, he looked pretty nice to me, bro.
This next game, Cincinnati over Tennessee, guys, without Joe Mixon.
Yeah, we all got that wrong, sir.
Like, what happened in this game? What happened to Tennessee? Derrick Henry did his thing. You can't blame Derrick Henry in this one whatsoever. But where was Tennessee's defense on top of the rest of the team, honestly? Like, absolute crazy. Cincinnati straight out came out and manhandled that game the entire game.
Yeah, I don't understand. Giovanni Bernard went off.
Giovanni went off. He didn't do anything the previous week that Mixon was out. And then comes out and lights it up this game. Like, comes out of nowheres. I was this close to picking him up in fantasy, too, and I didn't do it.
I know. I didn't do it either.
This close, chat. I was fairly disappointed. I did say that if Mixon was going to be in this game, that it would be a good game and it would be close. But we didn't even see Mixon, and Cincinnati dominated the entire game. Joe Burrow went off again. Joe Burrow's been looking good.
Joe Burrow's clearly the rookie of the year.
Between him and Herbert, it's going to be tough to choose rookie of the year, honestly. It'll be fairly close. Any good outlooks in this game that you guys want to hit outside of those?
Like
I can't explain it.
I explained. It's like they forgot how to play football.
They did. Right. Tennessee has not shown up at all.
I don't know. Like, this is a game that should never be in jeopardy because of everything that you guys have done. The teams that you have played, what you've shown in your play style, you know, how you decimated Buffalo and various other teams with your run game, defense showing up. Like, you guys were trying to solidify that at least you were a playoff contending team. Then Cincinnati spanks you, and it's like,
manhandled.
Really?
I don't.
Manhandled.
They need a better defense. I hate to say it from Tennessee, but y'all got to stop. They weren't able to stop Cincinnati on anything Cincinnati wanted to
None.
do.
No.
Cincinnati was able to do everything they wanted to do in a football game. They're like, okay, we want to run, did it. Okay, we want to pass, did it. I'm like, we want to convert this third down, did it. And I'm like, Tennessee, what the hell?
They had no
Where's all
answer
the
for
defense?
them on defense at
But you
all.
see, but we've also known that their defense is their weak spot when Deshaun Watson almost came back on them in the second half and almost destroyed them.
Yep.
They came back and scored all those points on them. Same thing with Pittsburgh. Like every team, they'll get ahead way early and then everybody almost comes back to beat them. Cincinnati got ahead first, which is what they needed to do, got way ahead first, and then that was it. They couldn't catch up. You know, they couldn't catch up. That defense is super sus. It's super sus. I noticed that since that Houston Texans game. I was like, wait a second. And that's when I started taking them out of my top 3. I was like, nope. If you let the god-awful Houston Texans almost come back and beat you with no DeAndre Hopkins, hell no. No.
Yeah.
This next game won. It was highlighted, guys. It was highlighted. The Las Vegas Raiders versus the Cleveland Browns.
I was wrong.
Lamb was wrong in this one.
I was wrong.
That was one of my. It was Hiatus and I's one
both y'all
chance
picked
to
the Raiders.
catch up here on Lamb, and we did get this one right, guys. Very low scoring game in this one too. Going into the fourth quarter, I think it was tied up 6-6 if I remember right. Going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was a pretty defensive
very
game.
low scoring, good defensive game.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs still did his thing. He had 130 yards on the ground. And Baker Mayfield didn't do anything through the air. He didn't even have 130 yards through the air, guys.
I'll tell you why.
Mayfield struggled hard. He tried to feed Landry the entire day. And I said that on the last podcast, that if he feeds Landry the entire day, they're not going to go anywheres. And that's exactly what happened.
No, that's not why they lost. That's not why they lost. I'm going to tell you why they lost. Okay? I'm going to tell you why they lost. All right? First of all, they lost just because, honestly, watching that game, and I'm not going to make an excuse. I have one excuse that is legitimate if you've ever played football a day in your life. But honestly, the Raiders are a better football team.
Yeah, by far.
Like
on both sides of the
going to
ball.
start off by saying that so y'all can't say I'm trolling, but the Raiders are a better football team on offense and defense. They're more efficient.
Yes.
They're more organized. Every play that Cleveland Browns make, it looks like an emergency Hail Mary flea flicker Rams play that we saw with the freaking Dolphins. Every play looks like an emergency fourth quarter, like panic mode. Everybody panic.
We haven't seen Baker Mayfield change at all since the college days. Like, he literally gets the ball, wants to scramble, and make a wild throw. And
he's like,
hasn't
Hut,
converted.
first option isn't there.
Yep.
Panic.
Literally, it's bad.
But
Baker Mayfield, they need to draft or trade for another quarterback immediately, because Baker Mayfield is, with as much talent as they have on offense, there is no reasoning you should have your quarterback be throwing for 130 yards in a game.
I'm going to give y'all 3 points really quick. The first point in this game, I'm not going to 100% blame Baker Mayfield for this team's loss, because Baker Mayfield also doesn't play defense. All right? That's one thing. And also, this was the football game where there was 30 to 35 mile per hour gusts of wind.
It was gnarly.
This was the windiest football game, and I've played backup quarterback, and I'm telling you, if that wind is even blowing 6 or 7 miles an hour, your accurate throws are no longer that accurate. So I can't even imagine running a route and trying to throw and or catch a football in a tight window in man-to-man coverage at 30 to 35 miles per hour gusts of wind.
Speaking of kicking like that or doing anything in the wind, what about that 60-yard kick that Greg Zuerlein hit into the wind and nailed it? Like, perfectly curved, nailed it 60 yards out, like an amazing kick. For
And,
as bad as Dallas is doing, I'll give him props on that one.
well, we took the best kicker. We took him from the Rams. He
Literally the
was the
best
number
kicker
one.
in the league.
He is, right?
The
Like, we
best
took the
kicker in
best
the
kicker
league.
in the league. And so, number 2, going back to the Browns, you have to stick with Baker Mayfield. The way y'all saw him play in that first year, that's conditional upon more time. First of all, how is Baker Mayfield being developed? Okay? Who's developing him? Someone tell me what veteran, what retired great QB is there to help him develop?
I haven't
Because if
heard of
it's
anybody
all,
reaching out to
that's
him,
what I'm saying.
honestly, or him
So
working with anybody.
so, Melby, if you were the owner of the Cleveland Browns, would you let that fly? Or would you be like, hey, can I get Kurt Warner? Can I get Warren Moon? Can I get somebody? Troy? Can I pay anybody $2 million
Vet.
to help this kid? Like, someone has to help him. He's Baker Mayfield. He was grabbing his crotch in college. You know what I mean? Like, the kid's not, he's
Planting the
not,
flag big failed after a win.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just allow this kid to develop on his own with your coaching and your lifting and your cardio and your throwing and your quarterback coaches. Get him a veteran. Russell Wilson, he goes and he trains. He's trained with Kurt Warner.
Speaking of training, did you see his training
Major
outlook that
League
he
Baseball
posted like
pitchers.
yesterday?
He's training with pitchers, Major League Baseball pitchers, and all he's about his throwing form and his arm. Like Russell Wilson, he's about that. Like, what are we doing for Baker Mayfield?
He posted his workout the other day. Actually,
Russell Wilson did?
Yeah, he's got 2 chefs. He works out 363 days a year. The only 2 days he takes off is Thanksgiving and Christmas, and he pays $1 million+ to upkeep his body on top of his trainer.
I believe it. LeBron James, same way. I believe it. Like, there's some people who are serious about it. I just want to know what the Browns organization is doing to help Baker Mayfield, because that's their franchise quarterback. I don't care what anybody says on ESPN or whatever. That is their franchise quarterback. They cannot just go try to draft another quarterback and ruin this organization and go, this Baker Mayfield brought them to their only winning season in the last God knows how long. Their only positive winning seasons. That's their franchise. If you're Odell Beckham Jr.'s agent right now, you should be on the phone with all these NFL teams that are in desperate need for a wide receiver. Send him to Baltimore. Send him to Green Bay. Send Odell Beckham somewhere where they're in desperate need of a wide receiver. Odell Beckham needs to get off of this team. I don't believe he's as good as everybody says he is, but damn, he's too good for Baker Mayfield. What a waste. What a freaking waste. And y'all know I don't like Odell Beckham Jr., but man, his talent is being wasted. It's definitely being wasted on Baker Mayfield right now. He needs to go somewhere. Baker Mayfield has to stay, and they have to build a team around Baker Mayfield, but they also have to develop Maker Playfield. That's who we saw the first season, was Maker Playfield. Now we're seeing Baker Mayfield, and I don't like it. But Odell Beckham Jr. needs to get the hell out of Cleveland. Fast.
This next game, I want to say we all chose the same team in this next one, but they got throttled. Indianapolis put the hammer down on Detroit, like straight up spanked them, and we're not expecting that whatsoever.
Well, we talked about it. Remember, I talked about the only thing I'm worried about is that running game of the Indianapolis Colts, because that offensive line. I said the Colts are just going to want to come out and run it down their throat, and that's exactly what they did. Those bastards. That's exactly what they did.
Went off, and no running back had a 100-yard+ game. Like, it was multiple running backs that were going off in this one and put in the work for it.
Hey, and Melby, Phillip Rivers looked like an NFL quarterback again.
How often do we actually see it, though?
Right? He looked like an NFL starting quarterback.
Actually see it? Like,
he might be a more inconsistent quarterback than Jared Goff, honestly. This is one of only 2 solid Phillip Rivers performances that we've seen all season.
Exactly. This next one, me and Hiatus have put a very good point into this next one. And Dalvin Cook coming back from Minnesota against Green Bay. And I pulled up the stats on last podcast. He had almost 200 plus yards on the last game that he played in Green Bay last year. He comes back off an injury. We're like, coming off an injury. We don't know what his touches are going to be. We don't know what kind of work he's going to do. And it's in Green Bay on top of that. Dude comes out 165 yards basically on the ground, 163. And was almost a leading receiver on both sides of the football for, I think he had 63 receiving yards off of 2 receptions and a score. He had 4 touchdowns this game, chat. 4 touchdowns.
Out.
The last
Balling
time
out.
Green Bay gave up that many touchdowns to a single person, I want to say they stated was all the way back in 2008 that happened. Dalvin Cook single-handedly lit Green Bay up and won that game solely for Minnesota. Solely.
It was really impressive to see, and that was kind of the thing that we were on the fence when picking this, because if Dalvin Cook gets going, there was nobody that could stop him.
Nobody.
We kind of alluded to that, but it was like, yo, coming off of an injury, like, do you really want to put him out there and just let him go 110%, or do you want to work him in slowly? No, they just let that man work.
They let him loose. They let him loose. It was a tiger waiting to pounce on a what do they even call those they're not even deer. What the hell do they even call them?
What, the antelopes?
Yeah, some sort of like that. Like just sitting there waiting to pounce, guys. Like
a prairie dog.
he was.
Meerkat.
I wanted to say a prairie dog so bad, and I almost did.
Meerkats. Yeah, we were all wrong on
We
that
were
one.
all wrong in this one. Dalvin Cook proved us wrong. Dalvin Cook
but now we
lit them
know.
up.
Now we know in the future, Green Bay has no running defense because Tampa Bay did the exact same thing and ran through their heart and soul.
Yes.
Ran all the way in their chest. So is this more of a Green Bay's trash running defense or Dalvin Cook is the GOAT? Because if I see Dalvin Cook do that on, let's say, the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then I'll be more of a believer. Like, we all know Dalvin Cook is a bad man, but he didn't. This was not a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was against a team that, has already been super destroyed by the run game by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
True.
If you have that winning formula, just keep using it. You know what I mean? I'd watch that tape. If I'm about to play the Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, I'm watching the tape from this Minnesota game, and I'm watching the tape from the Tampa Bay game, and I'm like, we're going to do that.
Second time they got gashed by a 100+ yard rusher in both games.
Yep, and we know what the running does. Man, you bite hard on that play action, and all of a sudden your quarterback looks like Aaron Rodgers himself.
And that was a big key thing too. They were missing Aaron Jones for the second straight game in this week as well, so that does hurt Green Bay's opportunity of opening everything up on offense as well. So this next one, I said they were going to get 50. They came up 15 shy. Kansas City still throttled the New York Jets 35-9. Aaron Donald didn't end up getting traded at the deadline today. He's still with the Jets. Was stated that he is still going to be the future of the team.
Sam Darnold, not
Sam,
Aaron Donald.
Yes, Sam. I keep saying Arnold. I don't know why. But Darnold is still going to be the future for the Jets. They didn't trade him away. And they need to get that dude some help. Because if they don't, that dude's going to have an ugly career looking ahead of him. An ugly career looking ahead of him. And for the first couple of years, it hasn't looked good. And they haven't brought him any help, and they haven't done him any good yet.
Yeah, the Jets are...
And they just traded away their best defensive player at that, too, to the still undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, Avery Williams. Good trade for Pittsburgh. Just good pickup. Great, solid pickup. The Jets, that's a win-win for both teams. Honestly, Jets are in rebuilding. They need as many draft picks as possible. That's a good fair trade on both sides. But the Jets are just as horrible as the Dallas Cowboys, and that's all I have to say. They're just as horrible as the Dallas
I
Cowboys.
want to see that game. Could you imagine how ugly that game would look
Bro,
if both of those teams matched up against each other
I'm
right now?
scared. I'm scared that the Cowboys are worse than the Jets. So I do
That game
not
would
want to
be
see that game.
ugly.
I would have to
I don't
believe.
even know if Zeke would go for 100 yards in that game. Honestly,
Oh
that's
no,
how
dude!
ugly
On the
that game
Jets,
would be.
no, on the Jets, even without Avery Williamson, dude, Zeke might get 200 yards in that game, bro. The
He didn't
Jets
get
are
100 plus against the
horrible.
Redskins. Well,
The
the
Redskins have a
Washington
good.
football team.
The Washington football team has a good defensive line, though. They have a good defensive line. The Jets have nothing. The Washington football team has a good D line.
But
They have a better.
wait. He wouldn't go off because remember, tanking.
Yeah, but both teams are tanking, so they would actually have to try.
They would. They
Yeah.
would.
Both teams are tanking, so I would have to go with the team with the best player. That means Ezekiel Elliott's going to be the best player. Ezekiel and Jalen Smith are going to be the best athletes in the football game, so I'd have to go with the Dallas Cowboys on that one. I would just have to.
That game was ugly. They were able to do anything they wanted to. Mahomes
they were
had
dancing.
400 plus.
Chiefs don't dance.
They
bro.
didn't
were
utilize.
bagging.
They didn't utilize the run game at all. The
Don't
top
bag.
rusher was Frank Gore with 30 yards.
Don't bag. Kansas City
30
Chiefs don't
yards
bag,
was
Don't
the
be
top
toxic.
leading rusher in that game, guys.
Kansas
That was
City went
bad.
into that D2 match. They went into that D2 scrim with mountaintops. All right. And the Jets, all they had was hand cannons, blue ones. And Kansas City had the nerve to bag them. They was dancing. I was like, are y'all kidding me? I mean, I retweeted it because that's my jam, but still, they were swag surfing. I was like, really?
Honestly, I mean, when you're playing against a team that you know is basically trash, like
They're
there's really
tanking.
no reason to. Yeah, there's no reason to celebrate. We expected you to win by more.
Right.
We like
And that's why I put up the
literally,
50 mark, because I honestly thought they were going to go for 50.
If I have my savior title on and I see a flawless title, don't bag me. I have a freaking savior title on, for Christ's sake. All right? Just saying. Kansas City, don't bag, bro. You're the problem.
Exactly.
You're what's wrong with the D2 comp meta. You're bagging. You're bagging trash players with your mountaintops. Don't do that.
So
We knew
this
y'all was gonna win.
this next game, we all got wrong. But it was a big highlight game for Hiatus and I. And also Dangling. Shout out to Kevin in this one as well, guys.
He's the only one who was right.
I know, he was the only one that was right. But
He was the only one who was right.
Miami came out and manhandled the Rams and basically never looked back. Even though they didn't
In the
score
first
in the
half.
second half of the football
In
game,
the
they
first
didn't
half,
have
they
to.
manhandled them. They got manhandled in the
They
second
got-
half. But in the first half, the Rams, it was a shift.
Miami didn't have to do nothing, though. That's how bad of a game this was.
The Rams almost came back and won. They held them
Almost.
scoreless, and they scored all the
They
points
still
in the
lost
second
by
half.
11. It was still a 2-score game. I keep sleeping on us. I knew he was lurking.
That's literally a touchdown and an extra point, and then a field goal. I mean, a 2-point conversion and a field goal. It's not like 2 touchdowns. But all I'm saying is, Miami Dolphins embarrassed the Rams. Okay,
Straight
the word is
manhandled them this week.
embarrass in the
Manhandled.
first half.
They didn't have to do
first
anything in the
half.
second half, to be fair. That's
Four
how bad
turnovers.
this game was.
Hold up.
But the Rams
Say that again.
almost
Say that
came
again.
back.
Say that again. They almost came back, and it was what? It was like a 2-possession game.
Still a
shut 'em-
2-possession
they
game.
held the Dolphins scoreless in the second half of football.
That's fine.
They made the necessary adjustments. They just couldn't put the offense together. Dude, Jared Goff looked confused. Remember that Super Bowl he was in against the Patriots? He looked just as confused. He looked like a day one rookie quarterback who thought there was going to be a blitz, and then they all dropped back, and he didn't know what the hell to do with the ball.
Shout out to Sam Darnold. I'm seeing ghosts, guys. I'm seeing ghosts.
Man, it looked worse than the
I
butt
just,
fumble, and we all remember that
I
Mark Sanchez.
Oh
just,
my lord, the Marks, and you know what's
I
sad is that both the Sam Darnold and the Mark Sanchez both came against the New England Patriots. I'm seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
I just
Yep.
wanted Lamb to repeat himself because last week on the podcast when I made that point about the Texans having those two possessions that had they scored, they would have won, and he was like, "A W is a W."
Yup.
Don't tell me about no two possession game, but he literally just gave us a scenario that it was a two possession game. So I'm just saying it
Yeah,
does
but
happen.
no, but I didn't defend it. I didn't defend it, Hiatus. I didn't defend it. I just said that they didn't need 2 touchdowns. And they didn't. They needed a touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and a field goal. They didn't need 2 touchdowns, but I'm not defending it because honestly, the Rams look horrible in the first half of football. But in the second half, they shut Miami down. But by then it was too late. Jared Goff, you cannot have 4 turnovers. You cannot.
And I've been stating this
have
all
4
podcast,
turnovers.
all season, guys. Jared Goff can have a good game, but he is so inconsistent and so turnover prone. And we definitely saw that compared from last week to this week.
Let me make this point, though. Jared Goff still hasn't had a bad as game as Drew Brees has this season and Aaron Rodgers has this season.
Well, Aaron had 2, so.
Yeah,
that's
Aaron
true.
had 2.
Yeah, but he didn't have 2 5-point fantasy games, though. Not 5-point fantasy games.
He didn't.
So far, Aaron Rodgers has had.
Games.
Cam Newton hasn't even had as bad a game as Aaron Rodgers has, y'all. That's how bad that game was.
He came very close. He came very close. I think he managed like a 9 fantasy point day out of that.
But that's how bad that game was. And dang, yeah, all that matters is the final score. A win is a win. But oh my God, y'all better put Fitzpatrick back in now. Okay? Because Tua did not look anything like Herbert or Burrow or even Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. Put Fitzpatrick in now, and y'all are a legitimate, probably the second best team in that division.
They'll win the AFC East if they go back to Fitzpatrick.
Woo.
Yeah.
So this next game, well, I want to say we all picked Pittsburgh. It did end up being a close game against the Baltimore Ravens in this one. Lamar Jackson still hasn't come to MVP form. We haven't seen anything near of that nature this year on what we saw last year. Everyone's pretty much broken him down. He hasn't been able to do anything like that. He's been forced to use his arm, and he has no weapons on that offense, unfortunately. Even as inconsistent of a thrower that he is, they can't just have Mark Andrews as the only weapon on that offense for him, not besides the run game.
And honestly, I felt like this would have been the perfect game for the Pittsburgh Steelers to lose because, of course, right now they're the only undefeated team. So when you have the pressure of being forced to win, because it's like, do you want to chase an undefeated season or do you just want to get better, each week? You may take a L, but at least if you learn something new that y'all need to work on, you keep it trucking. But right. I literally thought this was going to be that week because when it comes to the Ravens and Pittsburgh, they always play tough between them. And so even though I was going for Pittsburgh, I was like, this does have the signs that they could take an L, and this would be that first loss. But now the pressure's really on because now you are undefeated. You are the only undefeated team. You have a target on your back. Every team that you play from here on out is going to give you 110%. And
they've got a light schedule coming up too until they play the Ravens again in the next 4 weeks. They got Cowboys, Bengals, and Jaguars until they verse the Ravens again.
but we still can't say that the Bengals, like we just saw what the Bengals did.
True,
Like
true.
that,
They ain't gonna do that to the Pittsburgh
literally,
Steelers.
But yeah, they're not gonna
like
end up doing that to Pittsburgh. Not if they don't get
right.
Joe
But
Mixon
it's
back.
like it's one of those things that how we were saying in the beginning. It's kind of that any given Sunday.
Yes.
I don't believe
And
that.
if they're right, if they're riding high like that, you make mistakes. We've seen Roethlisberger making some terrible choices. I'm just saying. We have seen him almost give away a game a couple times.
See, we saw it against Tennessee. They should have lost that game.
Facts.
Should have lost that game. This next one, couple of hot topics. Denver wins on a last-second pass against the LA Chargers. Herbert still had himself a game. Herbert's looking really good. Besides himself and Burrow, those two are going to be neck and neck for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. It's going to be hard to choose, especially if they both stay healthy and continue at the pace that they're going at. This game was really good. It came down to the wire. Denver ended up edging it out on a last-second pass to Hamler for a touchdown. But the key thing, both Elway and now the CEO test positive for COVID. So you win the football game. Where did you go after the football game to party to go get COVID?
Shots. Everybody. They were like, hell yeah. John Elway was double fist pumping.
When I saw that this morning and I was like, wait a minute. They won the football game last night. Where did y'all go after?
Bro, shots, okay? They went to the only strip club where all the entertainers had masks on. They was partying all night long. They was happy about that win because the Chargers are a good team. They're a solid team on paper. To me, they're like the Rams of the AFC. Like, they shouldn't have lost this game. You know what I mean? They have a solid defense on paper. They have a solid offense on paper, just like the Rams. They're the Rams of the AFC. That's what the Chargers are.
I want to say we all picked Chargers in this one, didn't we?
We all did. Yes, sir. We all picked the Chargers.
I thought so. I was like, we all.
And we were almost right. We were
almost right until that last second touchdown. Literally last second. And it was on the sideline, toe touch, grab, beautiful throw. I'll give it to Drew Lock. That was a nice throw that he gave to Hamler to put it in spot, to be the only person to be able to reach and get to that ball. Only overtime game of the week, guys. New Orleans Saints with no wide receivers. None. No Michael Thomas. No Emmanuel Sanders. They had Alvin Kamara. And their backup quarterback going out there catching footballs. And Taysom Hill. Ended up edging it out against the Chicago Bears 26-23 in overtime. Was a really good game. It ended up actually being a really good game. And Kamara really wasn't an effect in this game either. He was in the passing game, almost having 100 yards. But in the run game, he wasn't really a factor in this one. The Chicago front slowed him down, made Drew Brees go to the arm. We all stated this in the last podcast. You can never count out Drew Brees, no matter what he's got and what he's utilizing with. And we all ended up being right in this one. But it was a fairly good game. Nick Foles was throwing dimes out there. He was throwing some beautiful passes in that game as well. I know they're still up in the air about that one, Trubisky or Foles, and everyone's saying, well, you better sit Foles and go back to Trubisky. I don't know, guys. Foles is looking pretty good out there, honestly. I don't know if they should go away from that one.
I will tell you, here's what I remember. I remember sports podcast maybe a week or two ago, about a week ago, where two members of this squad right here were trying to tell me how good those Chicago Bears was. That's what I remember. Hiatus, do you remember that? Melby, do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember that? We spent like 15 minutes on it. because I was gassing up the Rams and y'all were gassing up the Bears, and I believe since that podcast, the Bears haven't won a game.
They haven't. They haven't.
And the Rams are
The
2-1
Rams ended
since
up
that happened.
beating them, and Chicago ended up
1-1.
losing this game in overtime, unfortunately.
But I will say this. At least all three of us were right. We all picked the Saints because Drew Brees is that dude. Without
never
Michael
count out
Thomas,
Drew Brees.
without Emmanuel Sanders, without he will find a way. If he has to do all shovel passes all game, he will find a way to do that and win the game. 100%. We were all right.
This next one had a lot of factors in this one, guys. San Francisco ended up going into Seattle, losing against Seattle by 10 points. They ended up losing Jimmy Garoppolo for multiple leaks, again to a high ankle sprain. George Kittle is now listed at least out for the next 8 weeks with a broken bone in his foot. They're still without their main running back in Raheem Mostert. They re-lost Tevin Coleman again, and another injury that he re-aggravated before coming back to this game. San Francisco's done for the rest of the year, guys. They're too injury riddled. They're without their best defensive star. They just lost literally their whole offense. They have no offense no more. The highlight in this game was DK Metcalf. Dude was a highlight reel.
What did I say, hiatus, last week? What did I say? Hiatus.
You called it out.
Who did I say? There hasn't been one person that I've seen in the whole NFL that can stop one person in the NFL. Who was that one person?
For them to make comparisons for him to Calvin Johnson is very on point, guys. It's very on point.
So you got jokes, hiatus. I see.
You got jokes. Kettle.
Rewatch the stream. I said DK Metcalf. I said I haven't seen anyone who can stop DK Metcalf. Who was the game changer in that game? DK Metcalf. Who was the game changer in every Seattle Seahawks game? DK. Well, Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett. Between him and Lockett, they're both good. Because Lockett was a highlight reel in this one as well.
They have two number one wide receivers.
Between Russell Wilson's 261 passing yards, if you go to look at this game and look at the box score, you got, for receiving wise, Lockett ended up being the second receiver with only 33 yards. So between him and Metcalf, they take up 200 yards of that 261 yards. There's only 61 yards left to be accounted for between those two.
So
and the game previous to that, Tyler Lockett went off with a 200-yard receiving game and blew up everybody.
Yeah.
So you never know who. You can't guard both of them. It's impossible.
It's
impossible.
That is correct, sir. That is correct.
Impossible.
And then they just picked up Carlos Dunlap, so now they're going to have some bit of an experienced veteran who can help that defensive line maybe get some pressure on the QB. He's not going to be a Khalil Mack. He's not going to be a Nick Bosa. He's not going to be a Joey Bosa. He's not going to be Aaron Donald or whatever, but he's going to be able to provide some leadership on that young defensive line, on that inexperienced defensive line. And also, this one, I was the only one who picked the Seattle Seahawks. Both of y'all picked the 49ers, so this puts me back on top by 2.
Injury riddled.
Yep.
Bad. San Francisco's done for the year. There's no way they're making the playoffs with the rest of those injuries.
Me so sorry, but it serves you right, Geek, because you've been trolling me with Cowboys memes for 2 weeks. So it serves you right.
Speaking of his Cowboys, got manhandled by the Phillies. The only highlight the Cowboys had in this game we previously just talked about was Greg Zuerlein nailing the 59-yarder into the wind. Literally looked like a slice shot. It started off one opposite way of the goalpost and swung around all the way and barely made it into the other side.
Tanking. Just like we talked about last week.
It's
The
true.
same thing. And didn't I say the Jets
And our
too?
offensive line
We're
was
unloading players to free
bad.
up cap now, just like the Jets are. The Jets are like
Danucci
Avery
was
Williamson.
getting lit up
Bye.
back there.
The
Danucci
Cowboys
was
are like
he was on
Everett.
the ground every
Bye
time I
bye.
looked.
We
Every
have no
time I
offensive
looked,
line?
Danucci was on the ground. It was bad. There was a big question Lamb did want to bring up into this one though. Does Philly stay with Carson Wentz? Even though they're in a winning trend, they're on top of the NFC East. Do they pull the trend of everybody else in the football league right now and go to Jalen Hurts?
I think they need to see what they have. It's clear now, just like I said at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of the football season, after we lost our offensive line and our best defensive player on the Cowboys, I said the Eagles take this easily. The Eagles win the NFC East easily because Carson Wentz is talented and Miles Sanders, even though he was out, is one of the best running backs in the league that doesn't get credit for being a top 10 running back in the league, and he is amazing. But they're the clear favorites. They're going to make the playoffs just because they're going to win the NFC East, so they're going to get a bid automatically.
They're going to get knocked out immediately.
But even more so, you have to see what you have in Jalen Hurts. The same way that the Miami Dolphins saw what they have in Tua. Now they're gonna give him some more playing time, but you have to get him out there, even if it's just for half of a game. But you got to see how he can manage. You have to see that. We still don't know what kind of quarterback Tua is, right? We saw he wasn't able to basically lead them to a victory. Their defense did. Because the Rams got up on Miami first from the get-go. Tua was running for his damn life. He looked like Danucci back there in the first couple of offensive drives. The Rams put points on the board first 7-0 or whatever, and Tua's not able to come back and score a touchdown. It wasn't until the defense was able to score a touchdown that things from Miami got to get rolling or whatever. But if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to put this guy in. You have to see. And Carson Wentz, he's making the best of a bad situation, but he is not playing. He did not play that well. No. If you rewatch the game, he's trying to fit balls into windows that only Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and maybe Russell Wilson.
He was looking like Baker out there, and him and Baker had pretty similar stat line besides the touchdown ratio.
Yeah, he's trying to channel other NFL quarterbacks that are good, and I'm like, Carson, you're talented, but you're not that guy, bro. Like, he was trying to channel Aaron Rodgers' windows and corner shoulder throws, and I'm like, no, interception, fumble. He had just as many turnovers as Jared Goff did. He had just as many turnovers, 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 picks. He had the exact same amount as Jared Goff. And Jared Goff still had a better game. Jared Goff still threw for over 300 yards. Jared Goff
only had 123 yards in the air. That was it.
Horrible.
Bad.
What do you have to lose in bringing your new guy out there? What do you have to lose? You already know you're going to be at the top because the Cowboys are not going to win another game this season.
Yeah, that's true.
So you already know you're at the top. You might as well see what you have in them. And even if not, you take Carson Wentz around the corner and you clean his clock. Punch him in the face. Because right now, when I'm watching these Eagles, I'm like, damn, they should have kept Nick Foles and gave him the contract. That's what I'm thinking. Because even though the Bears are losing, Nick Foles don't look like trash like this, bro.
Nick Foles was dropping dimes this week.
So I'm thinking, damn, Philly. I mean, y'all got the statue of Nick Foles. Nick Foles got you the ring. He got the MVP, and y'all went with Carson. Look at you now. Like, that's what I feel like saying. Like, look at you now. Because whenever a team separates from their quarterback who usually got them to where they wanted to go, there's always a winner and a loser. We damn sure know Bill Belichick is the loser, but now it's looking like the Philadelphia Eagles are the loser too. Because when I compare 2 quarterbacks, I would rather have Nick Foles right now than Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And that's a change for me because y'all know how much I respect Carson Wentz, who got them to the playoffs that one season. But now, even though he doesn't have his best offensive weapons, which has always been my defense for him, I don't know if I can keep defending some of these throws that I'm seeing that even I wouldn't make. It's like Cam Newton. I blame him for not having any weapons. He doesn't have Gronk. He doesn't have Edelman. He doesn't
Cam
have the
got
defense.
nobody.
But bro, I'm looking at these throws like even I wouldn't make that throw. I would throw it away. You know why Aaron is so good? The same reason Peyton Manning was so good. They will throw the ball away and lose it down.
Yep.
They're not going to throw a pick, and they're not just going to run and get hit, take a hit for no reason or try to fumble. They will throw it away.
And
How
that's
come
why you saw
Carson Wentz?
Jameis Winston throw for 30 interceptions last year.
Because he won't throw it away. They're trying to create something. Everybody wants to be John Elway, bro. Everybody wants to be John Elway and scramble like crazy in the pocket and then hit that Patrick Mahomes pass way down deep. Not everybody can be John Elway and Patrick Mahomes, but they're all trying to be that. Cam knows damn well he should have thrown away a lot of balls and just lost the down and punted. I'm sorry. Stop fumbling, bro. Stop running. All right. Same thing. Carson Wentz, you're doing too much. Carson Wentz looks better running than Cam Newton does, in my opinion, because Cam
Cam's
is
got
still
like 4 fumbles in the last 2 games.
well. Cam is still trying to act like he's a pocket passer.
And he's not. He never has
He's
been.
not. He never has been. But you see over the years how analysts and quarterback coaches in the league has tried to force him into being something he's not, and that's when he starts playing horrible. Remember Carson Wentz's best year, he was running balls for the walls, bro. He was throwing and he was running. Now he's trying to stay in this one little area. That's not him. Cam's
That's
trying to
'cause
stay
he's
in this
afraid
one
to
little
get
area.
that knee
That's not
messed up
him.
again.
Well, Carson Wentz looks good mobile to me. He's still got speed. He's still got some moves. He looks good running to me. But the one thing about the Dallas Cowboys is they let Dak Prescott be Dak Prescott. They say if you want to run, it's a QB option. We're not going to try to force you into being Aaron Rodgers and sitting in this one little space and throwing the football. You take off if you see daylight. I mean, it did get him injured, but before that, he was the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, the number 1 passing offense in the NFL. We just had no defense. The Cowboys, if they had a defense, could literally be undefeated right now with Cam Newton. I mean, with Dak Prescott. Could be, but no defense. That's a big could. The Eagles have a better defense than the Dallas Cowboys. They just don't have the wide receivers. We have the wide receivers. We just didn't have the defense. So what I'm saying is the NFC East is trash. So you might as well start Jalen Hurts. See what you got in that quarterback. Bring that young man. Say, young man, you get out there.
This next one we all picked right, but it was this game was very weird. When I looked down at my phone and saw that the New York Giants were going into the 4th quarter with the lead, I was like, wait, what? Oh, I had to double take.
Oh,
I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, there was no way. And sure enough, Tom Brady had to drive down the field to throw a game-winning touchdown to Mike Evans to win this game. With a beautiful dime, by the way. Like, gorgeous throw. And a nice catch on the other end by Mike Evans at the same time. But this game was bad.
Yeah.
And Tampa looked suspect in multiple ways. And if other teams pick up on that to go throughout the rest of the season, Tampa's schedule isn't light. They still play the Saints this coming week. They got the Panthers, who beat them. Or sorry, they played a decent game in week 2 against them. They got the Rams after that. The Kansas City Chiefs. They got to handle Dalvin Cook the week after that. And then the rest of the season's win. Falcons, Lions, Falcons.
Man, I cannot wait for that Kansas City Chiefs game and that Minnesota Vikings game.
But Tampa Bay, yeah, that game's gonna be nice.
Man,
that game's gonna be nice.
That's gonna be some.
But
good
their
football.
next 5 weeks, especially if Christian McCaffrey comes back in week 10, for the Carolina Panthers in that game, that run game, we saw it, and we've seen it multiple times now. Their run game is very, very, very suspect, and it does not look good. Gallman had a nice game for the Giants, actually, if you look back at it, and handled himself fairly nice. But looking at the next few weeks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they may have at least 3 losses on their hands in this next 5 weeks. At
I will
least
tell
3.
you, every NFC team that is a playoff contender has been watching this footage from this game nonstop. Okay? The Buccaneers almost lost to Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard, and Golden Tate, who is 172 years old, in his 82nd year in the National
No
Football League.
Saquon Barkley.
No Saquon Barkley. The best player they have out there is Evan Ingram, is a tight end, bro.
Who really didn't do a whole lot in this game.
Evan Ingram is no Travis Kelce or Greg Kittle or bro, and they have Rob Gronkowski. So what the hell? Why was this game even close? This game should have resembled the Chiefs-Jets game. That's what it should have resembled.
Ingram had a respectable 5 for 60, but when you're the best receiver on that team, you got to be hauling in. You got to be like a Darren Waller. There's no exception that you shouldn't be getting the ball looking your way 10 plus times a game.
This game was so close that the Bucs, I'm gonna be analyzing the crap out of them over these next few weeks, because I will tell you, the Minnesota Vikings, they have a player named Dalvin Cook, and they have one of the best wide receivers in the league named Adam Thielen, and they also have a Kyle Rudolph in tight end, and they also have a Kirk Cousins. All those players are better than any players that the Giants have, right? All of those players are better. So if they almost lost to this Giants team without Saquon Barkley, without an Odell Beckham Jr., and their best wide receivers are Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate, who is 379 years old on his 122nd year in the National Football League, and you have Mike Evans and Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady and Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. What the hell? I don't understand. But the Saints are rewatching this game right now. The Rams are rewatching this game right now. The Seahawks are watching this game. The Packers, the Vikings, they are all rewatching this game on repeat against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Giants. That's what you do. If you're a defensive coordinator, this is the footage that you're watching. It doesn't matter who you play next week. You are watching this game, because when you make it to the playoffs, it's going to go through Tampa Bay and the NFC. It's going to go through Tampa Bay and the NFC. So you have to watch this game. You have to analyze exactly what they did to Tom Brady. You have to analyze the
Big
coverages
time.
that they drop back into. Jesus Christ. What a surprisingly good football game.
Mm-hmm.
It was
What
a great week of football.
game.
It was a very good week of football. A lot of unexpecteds that we didn't expect, and good games that came down to the wire. There was quite a few games that came down to the wire. Into our records, guys, we finished off. Lamb's still on top by 2 games. He's at 16-9. And then Shady and I are tied up with a 14-11, guys. So we're still there. We're still there. Saturday's picks will be interesting when we go to line up Saturday's picks for everything, because there's some good games this coming week. There's going to be some decent games, and there's going to be a lot of toss-ups this week. So I'm definitely excited for our picks this coming Saturday. But I do want to finish off the NFL with our power rankings, guys. Power rankings are very interesting.
Man, everyone's dropping, bro. Like, everyone that we have faith in is letting us down.
Between injuries and teams losing that shouldn't be losing.
Yeah, bro.
It's rough, guys. It's rough. I'll start off this one since hiatus started off the week previous, Lamier the week previous to that. So we'll try to keep it in rotation. And remember, guys, we'll try to keep it in rotation. Yo, what's going on, Ghost? What's going on, man? We're about to start up our power rankings for the end of the week for NFL. Um, my third, my third's gonna my man. I gotta go 1, 2, 3. Record states itself this week, and honestly, I think it evenly states everyone where they need to be. Honestly, 1, 2, 3. Seahawks at number 3, 6-1. Kansas City Chiefs second at 7-1. And then you got the undefeated team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, still at 7-0, playing a hard game against the Ravens in a divisional game. We always expect that. The close team that I have to put right behind them is the New Orleans Saints. They're finding ways to win football games, and when they get healthy on offense with an Emmanuel Sanders and a Michael Thomas, that team's going to be a whole different football team, and they're going to be a force to reckon with because they forget they haven't had their best wide receivers in the last 6 weeks now. So that's my power rankings. I got New Orleans just outside, and then everyone else respectively where they're at: Seahawks, Chiefs, Steelers.
So for me, at number 3, I have. Ooh. So at number 3, I have the Bucks still up
You
there.
still got the Bucks
in
there?
number 3. I still do.
Even how
Because
bad
just
that
like,
game was?
yep, just how we talked about, because this isn't the first bad game that the Bucks have had, that Tom Brady has had, and
No,
it's
that's
not going to
true.
be the last. But I mean, you can't also take a look at that 45-point thrashing of the Raiders and think that it's a fluke. Like
And the
the
way that
boys
they
can
beat
get
up
going.
on Green Bay.
Right. So like the boys can get going when they need to. There was a lot of things in that Tampa Bay Giants game that you can kind of call into question, whether they took them lightly, whether they thought they were going to be a pushover, whether they were looking on to the next week, whatever the case may be. They found themselves in a dogfight, and they did find a way to win. So I can't drop them because they did find a way to get it. So I would put them at number 3. I would have Seattle at number 2, and Pittsburgh is still at number 1. Now, as far as the Chiefs go, they're kind of in
I
that
was
same
just about to
bubble.
ask that. I
Yeah,
was like, where you got the
yeah.
Chiefs at?
So the Chiefs are kind of in that same boat, like they're right there where the Bucks are, because I'm still waiting for the acclimation of all of these players. Like I'm
Right.
waiting for AD to get on to the Bucks and see how that transition. I'm waiting for Le'Veon Bell to be filled in and see how that transition, and how they play going into the latter end of the season. Also waiting for that Bucks versus Chiefs game because that's going to speak volume.
That's the highlight
Um,
game of the season, I believe. Especially
like
with
that's gonna
AB coming back into the consideration now.
exactly. So like that's gonna
And also,
show some fortitude.
that'll be the first time we see Le'Veon and AB go up against each other, guys. I never thought about
Facts.
that.
Oh yeah, true story.
Never thought
True
about that,
story.
guys. How much is Le'Veon going to be utilized in that game when that game comes to time to roll around?
I don't know. They didn't really let him get a run at the Jets.
No.
I thought they would let him run 300 yards down their throat just to prove a point, but they didn't.
Like,
I would have. If I was Andy Reid, I would have been like, take the
that
ball,
game's going to be
run with it.
interesting, guys. Because you know Andy Reid's going to be thinking about that.
Yep.
I like your
That's
picks,
what I
Itis.
said.
I like where you're
Yeah,
standing
that's what
at.
I said.
I like where you're
It's
standing at.
it is one of those things that's kind of in a toss right now. We keep seeing from week to week. Now, the reason that I don't bail on the Bucks is because don't like. It's Tom Brady. This is a person
Right.
that took a New England's team that was 9-7 to the playoffs. Like you just don't sleep on him. He's proven it. So Pittsburgh, they've been there, but it's been a while. They've had a lot of mix, but you can't knock them because they're the only undefeated team.
Exactly.
Seattle, because they're starting to figure out how to use their weapons a lot more, um, they become dangerous now because it's like, okay, if you can figure out how to work this thing, then you have a legitimate shot. So that's how I'm looking at it for now. But like every week, something crazy has happened to one of these acclaimed legends in the game, and I just sit back and go, "What is this?"
And what's
Whether
crazy about that Seattle game too is their run game. Nobody, none of their top 3 running backs really played. Carlos Hyde wasn't there. We didn't see Chris Carson. They trusted the rookie and DJ Dallas for 18 carries in that game, 41 yards, and ended up getting a touchdown in his debut.
41 yards is horrible.
Yeah, only a 2.3 average, but
that's garbage.
I mean,
The
for
Xfinity
them to
Sports Zone.
trust him like that,
Your home
I
base.
keep getting these stupid ads to auto start on ESPN, and it's so annoying. It's a pain in the ass. But you got to give it to the rookie for them to go out and trust him like that and to handle it, take care of the football, no fumbles by him or any means by that, and to score his first touchdown. I'll give him it. And I think that's another reason I have to give hiatus his reasoning for Seattle being up there is they have a lot of weapons, and looking back to this game here and then not using their 2 top running backs at the same time too, once they get those 2 back, they're going to be a hard team to stop. And with Carlos Dunlap hopefully being a good addition to that defense in that trade, will hopefully bring that defense somewhat back to form to where they can be a contender again. Because if that defense doesn't come to form, they won't be a true contender. They can't just rely on the offense.
Agreed.
All right, so mine. This is tough, y'all, because y'all know my brain works way differently than a lot of other people's. I don't know why it's that way, but it is. I blame college. I blame nursing and critical thinking. Dude, it changed my brain. Like college messed my whole life up. It messed my whole thought process up. Sometimes it's good, but for the most part, it's been negative. But anyway, here's what I think. We all know that the top teams have to include Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Seattle Seahawks, right? I do not, as y'all know, buy into you are what your record says you are, because I think the Colts are better than what their record says they are. I think the Chargers are better than what their record says they are. And apparently the damn Broncos are better than what their record says they are because of that defense. You know what I mean?
They're better than what they think you are to go out and party and then catch COVID the next day.
Yeah, true that. Shots, bro. 4 horseman shots. But anyway, here's what I think. I am going to put the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 1. And I'm going to tell you why. Bring up their schedule and tell me if they even lose another game for the rest of the season. Just Google the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule. Tell me if they even lose another game for the rest of the season.
Like Hiatus said, even though it's a divisional game, we can't look out for the Bengals.
They play the Cowboys, the Bengals,
the Bengals
the
game
Jaguars,
will be good, I believe.
The Ravens, the Washington football team, the Bills, the Bengals again, the Colts, and then the Cleveland Browns. the Pittsburgh Steelers may not lose another game the entire season. But as you know, I just said I do not believe you are what your record says you are. And I do not believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers are better than the healthy Seattle Seahawks with everybody back, with Jamal Adams back, with Bobby Wagner, with when they're healthy, with the addition of Carlos Dunlap, the Seahawks are number one. I give them the number one pick. I don't know if Jamal Adams is back yet. Is Jamal Adams
Nah,
back?
he's not back yet.
Yeah. When he comes back, I give them the number one. But for right now, I give Pittsburgh number one. Because the Seahawks schedule for the rest of the season is the Bills. That's a win. The Rams, that should be a win. The Cardinals, Seahawks, that's going to be a good game. Then they beat the Eagles. Then they'll beat the Giants. Then they'll beat the Jets. Then they'll beat Washington. Then they play the Rams again. And then they'll beat the 49ers because they'll still be without Jimmy G and Greg Kittle. Right? So the Seahawks might lose 2 more games this season. But if they have Jamal Adams back there in the secondary, I put them at number one, even though they're a 2-loss team right now.
Yep.
So mine is conditional. Pittsburgh Steelers
Actually,
number
no.
one right
Seahawks
now
are only
because
a 1-loss team. They're only lost
They're-
against the Cardinals.
they only lost against the Cardinals. I
Yep.
thought they were a 2-loss team.
Nope.
Well, I give if we're going on what's going to be for the rest of the season, or who do I think, in my opinion, is the best team in football? Which pick are we doing? Because if we're doing, no, I'm asking y'all, because if we're doing who's going to be the best regular season football team into the playoffs, then that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. But overall, the best football team, I think, is the Seattle Seahawks when they're healthy. I think with DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, Carlos Dunlap, Bobby Wagner, and Jamal Adams, I don't think there's anybody touching this team. I don't think there's anybody touching this football team. Even when I compared them to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both quarterbacks are capable of going down and scoring a touchdown in 18 seconds if they need to. The only difference is Russell Wilson has a better wide receiver in DK Metcalf than Mike Evans, and he's able to be more mobile than Tom Brady is. Right? So, to me, Seattle is the best football team in the NFL when they're healthy. But being without Jamal Adams, one of the best safeties in the league back there, that's going to be a problem. Until they get him back, everyone can throw on him. That's why Seattle, they have to throw for their lives to win football games, even against a banged-up 49ers team. They're barely pulling out these victories because of that. So, Pittsburgh Steelers, number one. Kansas City Chiefs, number two. And I gotta take Seattle Seahawks, number three. I'm not on the Tampa Bay train yet. I'm sorry. They're gonna remain out of the top three for me. I can't put them in there. Not almost losing to the Giants. I can understand almost losing to other football teams like the 49ers, who just a year ago had the number one defense in the whole National Football League and almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs and almost shut them out of points in the first half of the freaking Super Bowl. So I can understand the Seahawks barely beating them by 1 score, but there is no football reason that the Monday Night Football game between the Giants and the Buccaneers should have been that daggone close. That's a red flag. It's the same reason why I never put Green Bay, the Packers, in my top three, especially when he showed us why he shouldn't after that horrific loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That almost smidgen his career. I don't even consider
5 fantasy
Aaron
points,
Rodgers,
guys.
bro. I don't even consider him a lead anymore after that. I'm sorry. I do not recall Eli Manning having a football game that bad. Jared Goff, Cam Newton. There's so many quarterbacks who are worse than Aaron Rodgers who have never looked that bad. And Aaron Jones played that game, so it's not like he was without all his weapons. Like I don't understand.
Right.
So yeah, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Seattle. That's my top three.
Dig it. I dig it. Is there any other football news that's catching you guys' eye that you want to touch up on real quick?
Just how a whole bunch of teams failed. They should have made more moves
Yeah, there
up
was like
until
no
week 8.
moves in the trade deadline this year, guys. Like
There was
zero.
like 3 total. 3 total, I think. 3.
There was no moves in the trade deadline this year. I mean, I can kind of see why in a way, but respectively, how many teams are struggling and that many injuries there is, I'm really surprised that there wasn't a lot more other moves.
Me too. I don't understand. I don't understand why the Falcons keep losing every football game. How are they losing every football game with as many talented players as they have? They have Todd Gurley, Julio Jones, Matty Ice, Calvin Ridley. How do they keep losing football games? Someone help me understand.
Going into college this weekend, guys, there is a couple of games that are going to be pretty decent. Boise State's playing their third game. They do have a fairly decent chance of knocking off number 9 BYU. Michigan, Indiana. Michigan is struggling to start off the year. They're 1-1. I have them losing to Indiana in this game. Indiana's off to a pretty decent start in the beginning of the year. Other big game, I want to say Lamb pointed this one out, was the West Virginia and Texas game. Can never count out West Virginia. West Virginia is always a good organization when it comes to college football. But Texas is looking strong. They've actually played pretty good at the beginning of the year, and they've knocked off a couple of top-notch team so far.
Yeah, I was like,
So-
Uno. They got beat by Oklahoma.
Other than that, guys, they've had a decent season so far. Two biggest games of the week this week. First one, Florida versus Georgia. In Georgia,
Florida Georgia line.
they
Baby,
got
was
Georgia
on
favored by
the
3.5 in this one.
windows down.
Georgia's been struggling to start off the year. They've already got a loss. Both teams got a loss. But Georgia only put up 14 points this past week against Kentucky. And
Feels
then got
bad.
manhandled the week before that against Alabama.
Feels all
Florida, their only loss was against A&M by 3. They should have honestly won that game, in my opinion. I'm picking Florida in this game. Georgia's been struggling. They can't put up no points on the board. Florida is going to overtake this one, and Georgia's dropping out of the top 5 this week, in my opinion, in this one. Biggest
Think so?
highlight? I think so. I really do. Biggest highlight this week. Number 1, Clemson. CB Gray's team. His brother goes to school there as well. Against Notre Dame. No Trevor Lawrence still. He's going to be on the sideline for this game. He's cleared of everything, but he has to sit out the mandatory 2 weeks. They're going to be heavily on the running back team. But we saw how bad Clemson struggled against Boston College this past week.
Yeah, they almost lost that.
They
freaking
almost lost this game. Boston College was winning that game 28-13 at halftime. The way that quarterback struggled against Boston College, and now going up a whole different team against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's always been a good defensive team. They've just struggled heavily on offense, especially at quarterback the last few seasons. Notre Dame's going to pull off the upset, I think, in this one. Even though a teen's going to have himself a field day. Notre Dame's going to overtake Clemson in this one just because Lawrence isn't playing and how much they struggled last week in Boston College.
See, I get your point. I just can't go up against Dabo Sweeney, man. He's
I
beat
can't
Alabama
either,
three
but
times.
what I saw last week, I don't know
Yeah,
if I can see it.
Yeah, they barely pulled that win out.
They got
bro.
Clemson
They
winning by
barely
5.5.
I think Clemson wins by 1 score. I think it's a 1-score game, but I think Clemson's defense.
I think
pulls
it
out.
comes down to a game-winning field goal.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's going to be 1 score for sure.
I think
I
it'll
don't think
come
it's
down to
gonna
a
be something
game-winning
like that.
field goal, and Notre Dame pulls it out, I believe. But those are the big highlight games. Besides the Wisconsin game being canceled, they've got almost 30 positive cases in that organization now. They're not rescheduling that game. That's the second straight game that they've postponed for them.
Gross.
It's very gross. Yes, like how your organization ballooned up that high is ridiculous. It's not okay whatsoever. You shouldn't be
They
able
must have been
allowed
having
to play
them
the rest of the year.
Playboy parties.
But other than that, guys, any other big highlights? Chat, is there any questions you guys want to pop in or anything like that? It was a short podcast today. Football is the only major sport going right now, guys, besides college football. MMA we touched up on with the Anderson Silva loss this past week when we were on Saturday's podcast. That fight actually ended as we were doing podcasts, so we already touched up on that. No other real big news regarding MMA or anything like that at this time. Is there any big WWE news coming up for this week or anything like that that you guys want to touch up on first?
Not that I've seen.
I haven't
did
seen much of either.
Watch Monday Night Raw. It was pretty good, but there was nothing major. We basically don't know what we're gonna get at Survivors. Well, the Survivor Series team now has Braun Strowman, AJ Styles, and Sheamus. So, but we don't know who the
Never been a
SmackDown
fan
Men's
of
Survivor.
Sheamus.
I like the bro kick. I like his finishing.
Never
move.
been a fan of Sheamus.
I like
I
that
don't know
damn
why.
kick to the jaw. I don't know why. I think it's a awesome move.
Never been a fan of that dude.
I think he was a bad champion. I felt like
Yes.
they pushed him. I felt like he never really was the best wrestler, and he never will be. But I'm gonna enjoy seeing him in Survivor Series for sure. But we all know the best show is the Blue Brand, and that's gonna be SmackDown, and that's gonna be on Friday. So that's where all the good storylines and stuff are going on.
Right.
Monday Night Raw kind of meh, okay, but it's no SmackDown for sure.
Hiatus, anything you want to touch up on or anything like that, or anything you want to add in?
Nothing I can think of, man. Right now, I think everybody's kind of stuck on this election and everything that's going on. So
Yeah,
it's like
that
minds
too.
all over the place.
Everywhere's and everywhere's right now, Chad. It's gonna be an
Exactly.
interesting rest of the week, that's for sure. It's definitely gonna be an interesting rest of the week.
Both candidates are gonna throw a mad style toddler terrible twos fit. They're all gonna demand a recount.
Vet says,
They're
"See
all
y'all
gonna-
tomorrow when this country's burned to the ground."
Yeah,
Right,
they're
Livin?
all-
Pray for the
They're all
country,
gonna
man.
call for recounts
Pray,
and
guys.
recalls, and they're all gonna call that it's voter fraud, and there's no way. Like we've already seen in the debates that they're all babies. So this is gonna be.
Hopefully, when we wake
retarded.
up in the morning, there's not gonna be a bunch of riots going on and
This is true.
wildfires burning up everywhere. Is this, that, and the other because of people burning shit? Like,
Man, that's been going on.
hopefully we'll
Shoot.
be okay, guys. Hopefully we'll be okay. It's my little wallet thing, if you guys are wondering. It was the closest thing to me. I wanted something in my hand.
I was like, is this video sponsored by that?
Who's on
Video.
tonight, guys? Who we gonna go raid tonight? Who we finishing a podcast with? Any suggestions in chat, guys? Livin says it will be sadly business is boarding up. Yes, I know it's not looking good. It's not looking good. Vet says ghost. Anybody else have any opinions or assumptions to raiding ghost tonight, guys? We gonna go raid some ghost killer?
Bone is on too. I would say, and so is Preheated Zebra. I would say
We just
either-
raided. We just raided preheated zebra.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say Bone or Ghost. Yeah, for sure. Either one.
We can go to Ghost because I want to say we went the Bone not long ago too, if I remember right. So we'll go hit up Ghost, guys. Those two were actually playing Call of Duty together earlier. If you didn't catch those guys stream earlier, those guys were playing Call of Duty.
That's more
but-
vet. That's more of a vet type thing. Call of
Right.
Booty vet. Call
We're
of
gonna
Booty.
go raid Ghost, guys. JJ, you're not even on. How do we even see you on? That was
This
our plan the
man.
last like 2 weekends ago, and you ended up dipping off on us as soon as we went to go raid you.
He ended the stream quick. He was
Yeah,
like,
you
"Nope,
did.
here." I was like, "All right, I ain't gonna cry in the car, but all right."
But short podcast today, guys. Saturday should be a little bit more filled in. College will be going on. We're gonna end up doing our picks for Sunday, going into Sunday for NFL. Um, Hopefully, the NBA will have a decision on what they're going to be doing regarding their NBA season. Their suspected date is supposed to be Friday. It was supposed to be Friday on the 30th, but they moved it a week. So hopefully, we'll have some more news on that for you guys too on Saturday regarding the NBA for their upcoming season as well. We're definitely looking forward to that because the draft is literally 15 days away, guys. The draft is almost 2 weeks away. So something to look forward to. The NBA season's coming up fast. But other than that, guys, much love. The support's been amazing. Podcast has been awesome. Can't think of any other guys I want to do the podcast with. It's been a journey. It's definitely awesome. Don't mind me and hiatus for being so tired today, guys. You can definitely see it in us. We're both exhausted. But we're going to go raid Ghost, guys. We're going to go watch some D2 plays. We're going to go raid some Ghost. And, oh, nice, Vet. I appreciate it, man. And I'll make sure I'll upload this one and send this one over to you as well, man. But also, make sure, guys, if you're not following, I need to put this in here as well. We're uploading all of our videos to YouTube as well. And Vet has been doing some side work for us and been doing some edits for us as well. So be sure to check that out, guys. I'll make sure to link that in here as well. And we'll have that all posted on there on the YouTube channel here pretty soon. And we'll make sure to keep that updated too. Other than that, guys, thank you again. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll go raid Ghost. Throw some emotes in chat, guys. And have a good night, guys. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, rest of the week as well. And we'll see you guys on Saturday.
Peace.
Have a good night, guys. Throw some emotes in for Ghost. We're about to raid in right now. Have a good night, guys. Much appreciated.